We're live.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of the Horizon podcast. I am in the big chair today. And today we're talking about a very interesting topic, very topical topic. With Election Day being tomorrow, we're going to discuss the 2024 election between Kamala Harris and Donald J. Trump, the former president versus the current / former vice president. This is the third consecutive election with Donald Trump as a candidate. I've been able to vote in the 2020 election. This is my second election that I'll be able to vote in. I did not think Donald Trump would be a candidate I would be able to vote for in every election I've been able to vote for so far. But that is the reality we live in. Former Apprentice star turned president.
That's funny you say that, because this is my first presidential election that I've been able to vote for. So, of course, I watched the 2016 election, and I, had my own thoughts, feelings, whatever about it. And so, but this is the first one that I have truly looked at, where they are on key issues, and just different things like that, because it matters. So
it definitely is different watching an election versus being a part of an election.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And 2020 was already a wild year to begin with. So that being my first,
right,
going to vote
Yeah.
In a mask was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, politics, I feel like people don't really invest themselves into it until the year of the election.
See, and that's where people get into trouble, because you need to look at, so like for me, I'm looking at 2016 Trump and some of the things he did, and then you look at who the other side of this, and look at Kamala's stances. What did she do as vice president? What did she do when she was in California as a
prosecutor?
So just thank you. so different things like that. You can look at it the year before it happens, but I honestly think it takes longer than that to really, know what's, to really get a good grasp on it. And again, that's not to say consume so much news that it stresses you out. Don't do that, but, do it in a way that you're not blindsided by it.
Politics are a slippery slope.
It is.
I think, I always kind of pay attention. I've always been somebody that thought it was their civic duty to vote. I've always been
I would agree with that.
A big proponent. I think people should go out and vote. I'm not gonna, harass you if you don't. But, I think people should get out and vote. And so I try and keep an eye on it. Obviously, I have my own beliefs, my own affiliations.
Sure.
But it's so messy.
Yeah.
People are so at each other's throats. Families are being torn apart based on if you're a Republican or a Democrat, and it's a really tough climate that we live in.
That's why I actually try my hardest to keep my political affiliation private as possible, because there's so many people in my life that are on one side or on the other, and if they knew who I voted for today, like I voted today, if they knew, I would lose like one side. Likewise, I'll keep the other. But if they, I have my foot in two different cultures right now. Like one is like the local Louisville scene, which is super, obviously you can imagine their side. And then I have friends that are lifelong who are on the right side of things. And I keep it secret for both of them,
I think that's important. I think people have lost. I think whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party, whatever, that's become such a big component of people's personalities and how they view other people.
But
And
to cut off a like years-long friendship over just because you're voting for a
Yeah,
different person,
Oh, it
isn't
happens.
it just
Oh yeah.
ridiculous?
So I saw a video yesterday. Oops, sorry. I saw a video yesterday of it was this girl who was bawling her eyes out in tears because her dad had voted for Trump, and she was like, "I just lost the most important person to me." It's like, no,
Yeah.
no, you didn't.
No,
He's still the same guy.
You're putting that's the problem. You're putting too much value or worth into who you vote for. For example, if I don't keep I do keep things top secret, but I don't, if that makes sense, because just because I have a best friend and she votes for a different thing than I do, which is fine. But that doesn't mean that when this time comes around that we don't talk about it. We talk about it respectfully, knowing that we have different views on key issues, which is fine. But that doesn't mean that, this friend I've had forever is, that we're not going to be friends or that we're going to not talk about key important issues. We've said, okay, fine. There's an election. We talk about it respectfully. We move on because that's not our identity, nor should it be. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
If you were to go on your Instagram right now and post what you believe in, you would probably lose followers in some way.
100%.
It doesn't matter what you post. If you post your beliefs,
Okay, but whoa, hang on.
that's just the world we live in. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
No, I understand, but okay. What's the problem with losing followers? Again, those are just numbers, statistics,
Those could be your friends, though.
whatever.
Those followers could be your friends, and
okay.
then
I say that.
What are friends?
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Ben because when you say that, I'm thinking friends because if you're true friends like this girl and I are, and we've been friends since our middle school days basically, and so if we're true friends, then that shouldn't matter. So if you post something, someone doesn't like it, you lose a friend. Were they really a friend to begin with?
I mean, that's the tough thing, though. You gotta then you have to realize, oh, our friendship was that fragile. I've already gone through this experience, so that's what I'm trying to say.
I have as well, many times.
No, you're right. I mean, I'm just.
And I tell them they're stupid for it. It probably doesn't help.
Yeah, I have
but it's
too,
true.
and I think there's times where it's if someone agrees with a moral thing that truly crosses a line in my life, and I will no. I'm sorry, that will no longer be a part of my life. You don't fit my morals in my bubble.
Right.
You will not be in my life. I will not follow you, etc. No.
I feel like the issue is we've become on both sides. It's not been what I believe politics should be, which is I feel very strongly about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You feel very strongly about this. We have differing opinions. Let's talk about it and figure out why we disagree and try and reach a common ground.
And see, that's where I am too, because it's okay, fine. Differing opinions never got us in trouble. It's when we go at each other's throats, like we talked about earlier, that we start getting into trouble.
It's when we look and you go, oh, you have this opinion? That's because you're a fascist or you're a communist.
We have the world's most pressing issues right now, and I think that's what made us so divided is because there's abortion, for instance, is an issue that will never find common ground because of how one side will believe that what their beliefs to the point where they are not willing to give it up, and then it's likewise the other side.
Well, sure, and that's a topic that you tread lightly and you discuss like with all topics, but that's one with respect. Sorry, let me finish that thought. But with respect, but that shouldn't be. Yes, that's a key issue, but that shouldn't be any different than how we discuss, any other topic, whether it's key, important, whether it's what I like to call a hot topic or not.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day, it boils down to respect.
Well, I feel like this, just to kind of piggyback off what you said, this election is much different than the first one I was able to vote in because 2020 really, the entire election process was who's going to deal with COVID better.
I honestly think that this election is the most important one. Even it's more important than any of the elections in our life because there's so many global things happening, global that will affect us at in our lifetime. Like we didn't have World War III tensions in 2016.
That's
We
true.
we didn't have. I mean, not as this level.
Ben's like, I don't
Like
know
we're
about
literally
this.
a hairpin.
National Studies
We're a hairpin
major.
away from something popping off and starting that.
Well, and see, my okay, and again, this is a probably a first world problem, and one of those that I'm just grouchy about, plain and simple. But one thing I'd love to see happen is, remember the Keystone Pipeline?
Not,
Remember that? Okay.
it sounds familiar though.
Right, but so I would love to see somebody, whether it's Kamala or Trump or whoever our next president is, I'd love to see them open that up, because you realize this. You know how gas prices have been so stinking high? You know why? Because they shut down the pipeline. That is why, and I know that's not a key issue, but that's one of those issues that is a thing. You know, everybody's griping about inflation and, you know, all
our relationship with the Middle East too.
Yes.
We actually get very few oil from there.
Well, but you talk about the relationship with the Middle East. Okay, that brings up one more thing. Diplomatics.
Yeah, if you have good trade relations with like remember when I don't know if you remember this, but like U.S. struck a deal under Obama with the Middle East back when we were young, and I remember it like gas prices went down to $1 for a period.
Oh yeah,
and that's like what I mean.
Yeah, and you're right on that. So who is going to handle diplomatic relationships like that better?
I
think there's a clear answer there.
We're looking at two extremely. I think of all the elections I've seen,
sure,
this is the most, because we could go into to talk about, you know, Vance or Waltz and I think the vice presidents are. I thought the vice presidential debate was very refreshing.
Yeah,
because they both took the time to be like, you know what, you're right, we agree on that. Where Trump and Kamala are two such polar opposite people. Yeah,
and Trump has like such a sore loser mentality where he couldn't like shake her hand in the beginning of the debate. Like you had to catch that. Like she had to like force herself into his bubble to get his handshake.
Well, and here's okay. There's your two with him. He's a businessman, which everybody's like, okay.
Businessman quotation marks.
And my gripe with Kamala is like she's just like every other Democrat that, you know, I mean, Obama was the only Democrat that I like was super happy with.
Right.
Well, I'm just looking at their campaigns. I mean, Trump's never been afraid of the media, although he does not the biggest fan, which is pretty obvious.
Hang on,
but
his media he likes a lot.
He's out and he does. I mean, I'd see every time I'm on X or Twitter, it's like, or even TikTok, it's like watch the Trump rally for today, and he's very off the cuff.
He is, but
he's not a plan guy.
No, but I think what served him well in a way is he doesn't, to an extent, granted he's not perfect, I'm not saying he's perfect, but to an extent he doesn't play the political game. He knows he's a businessman, so he knows how to handle those diplomatic relationships in a way.
By threatening everyone.
Granted, I know, but granted, it's not perfect. I never said it was. We never said it was, but I feel like he knows how to handle those relationships. And so, you know, China and, you know, some of those, they actually fear us. Hello.
By threatening our allies and kissing Putin.
The thing that you have to kind of respect about Trump is he has never really taken anything from anyone. He's very confident in himself. And,
definitely. Gee.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite stories from the Trump presidency is, I forget who it was. It was some Taliban leader, and he was like, if you hurt a single American, I'm going to bomb the hell out of your house, and sent him a picture of his house.
I give him props for that.
And like that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Being like, listen, here's your house. I will destroy it if you don't if you don't comply with what I'm saying. And
and see, that's what I'm saying. Now granted, I'm not approving this by any means, so whoever's out in media land and whatever, don't think I'm approving that. But see, he loves America. He put, so that is where that's coming from. I'm not saying that's the right way to do that and to go about that, but I'm saying he loves America, so that's where that's coming from, which is good. Because, I mean, geez, if you play the political games, which, don't get me started on that, but if you play the political game, sometimes I feel like you're just playing the game and you're not thinking about America. You know what I mean? You're just trying to get the vote or get the party's approval or, whatever. And so that's, I think, like 2016, I think that's what drew everybody to Trump. It was new, it was refreshing. When he came in on the scene, he was a businessman, still is, but he didn't play the game.
Well, what I think that did contribute to Trump winning in 16, but I think a lot of people just very much did not like Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's there's also some truth into that, Zach. Definitely,
and so,
definitely. Yep.
But I think that's the thing that gives me pause about this election is on one hand, Kamala is a much more likable candidate for a lot of people. The people that were going to vote for Trump, it didn't matter who he's running against. Trump supporters are pretty hardcore Trump. So I don't think any candidate would have swayed them.
I think you're right on that.
But I think with that campaign with Harrison Waltz, really all they had to do is not give people a reason not to vote for them. And I think because of that, the media coverage and really the thing that gives me pause about Harris is, from what I've seen, and I'm not super big on watching rallies, I'm much more look at what policies align most with my beliefs. But
definitely.
The fact that Trump can do rallies more often, he can do them without teleprompters, he can do them without special guests. I think that's just what gives me pause about Harris. I've yet to see her really jump out and be genuine and not have something kind of in front of her. And I think the debate was good for her to show what her policies really are as opposed to Trump. And I think I liked the debate, even though for the past 3 elections, the debates are just more entertaining than anything because of
the memes are always great.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Trump is he is a funny guy. He's done some funny stuff as a politician. And that's really, I think, his biggest calling card with younger voters is like, and it's bad.
I don't think it should be because he's funny that anyone would vote for him.
Are we going to talk about the whole January 6th thing?
I think like the person you should vote for is like who's going to help you stay alive.
I think that's a little too far. Personally, I don't think whoever is elected next president will lead to the end of this country, as many people believe.
It may not lead to the end of it, but it could lead to like catastrophic things that will put our life on a different course.
I don't know. I honestly
that's already set in progress.
That's what people all thought about Trump in 2016. They were like, if he gets elected, we're going into World War III. We're all going to suit up, and that's what the same thing people thought.
Back then, we didn't have situations like the one we have. Well, we've always had Israel problems, but we didn't have them at this level. We didn't have China with Taiwan at the time, not at this level. We didn't have Russia and Ukraine war still going on.
A lot of big nations trying to eat small nations.
We didn't have inflation like we do now. We didn't have.
That's where we get in. That's the interesting thing.
And also, all of us are like need to buy a house.
Yeah, well, yeah.
At some point in the near future, and probably in the next 4 years, which is why we need a president that might be able to impact the house prices in some way, like whichever president would be better for that. That's just like, for us relative to us.
Yeah. Well,
This is probably it.
and like for me, not that it matters a whole lot because I live on campus throughout the school year, 9 months out of the year, but gas prices. Like,
I don't have a car, so I don't care. But
well, right, Ben, you're right. But like, people do commute, people do drive, and so I put a lot of miles on the car in the summertime. I just do, and so gas prices, and especially because I pay for my own gas prices matter to me just a little bit. So it's a matter of no matter who is elected, who can help with key issues like that, because I'm gonna tell you something. Most people are just your average Joes. We're not millionaires. We don't bring home the big bucks. We just don't. So how do we still function and live? I'm not talking luxury. I'm talking necessities. So how do we still have necessity money and stop living paycheck to paycheck? Because because with the inflation stuff, that's what's going on right now.
And lower interest rates too.
Right. But see, exactly, you're right. That's what's going on right now is people are living paycheck to paycheck without doing the big extravagant things, and it doesn't, and what that comes down to is it doesn't matter how well you watch your money or manage your money or whatever. That's just the reality we're facing right now. It doesn't matter.
This election.
So we're still dancing around January 6th and how we literally tried to cause an insurrection.
That's a
How does he
slippery
feel
slope.
about that?
I still don't think that was his fault. That was his supporters' fault.
He's
He's not at fault for what a mob did. Also he tried to calm it down. He definitely didn't handle it as well as one should.
No, because you should have watched his wording on that.
Well, he did say before it happened, hey, let's be peaceful. That there is evidence of.
I hate when
let's be peaceful.
A lot of people just like to think that he said, kill them all. Like he told his mom to just kill them.
I wasn't saying he did that.
It was the first. First off, I think it was stupid, and I think those were extremist people. I say average people don't do that. I thought that was a genuine attack.
That's also
democracy.
why I hate Trump supporters more than I do Kamala's supporters.
Hate is a strong word.
And I'm not. It's so bad. The Trump supporters are literally a mob of angry people that. That fuel.
I think the same could be.
It fuels their
Democrats as well.
Fuels their anger for it fuels their anger. It feels it does. I believe it does create things like January 6th. That's an example of what a Trump mob is like.
Right, but you have to think. Not every Trump supporter is like that. I know plenty of Trump supporters that just will go out and vote for him like a normal human.
I don't know.
And that's it. So my problem, I see what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. But my problem with what you're doing is you're putting.
I am generalizing.
You are. And that's because again, I know plenty of Trump supporters and Kamala supporters that would just.
I'm not a Kamala supporter, but okay.
That would just go out and vote or
that's
go out and do their thing.
That's 99%.
And and call it good. You are talking about the what?
There are good people on both sides.
1%,
And also people who a lot of people who support Trump believe that he will just solve all their problems too. And
I do feel that.
Yes.
A lot of people just believe that Trump will solve every issue, and they're hoodwinked in this idea that he's like God or something.
And see,
he's just
That's one thing I never get about how he's always praised such a great businessman when he's a nepo baby.
How is that a nepo baby?
How's that a great businessman?
But so is Kamala too.
Yeah.
And see, that's.
I would say most.
Kamala is Joe Biden's nepo baby.
And see, that's where I'm getting at. Where don't put everything you have into an election. Just don't.
Yeah.
Because yes, they're political figures. Yes, they're on the national stage. Yes, they're dealing with big issues. But at the end of the day, they're human. They can make mistakes. They can mess things up. Just like you and I can. So don't put everything you have into this election. Or any election, or any person for that matter. Sorry, Zach.
A president is not going to solve all your issues.
No.
It really, and we have the whole check and balance system within our government, so where nobody can make that big a change. But I kind of want to swing the focus to a bit of a controversial part of this election cycle. How do you guys feel about not requiring IDs to vote? Because I, for one, don't like it.
I don't either.
That's a thing?
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know much about that.
You don't need. I know California 100%. You do not need to show any form of identification to vote.
See,
Well, how are you going to ensure that a person that's an American citizen votes?
Not only that, how are you going to ensure that they're of age to vote?
How are you going to prevent someone from voting like 3 times?
That will like screw up.
And see,
the voting system.
that's the issue. Is a hot button topic on this that I see quite a lot is that. And I want to preface this by saying I don't believe this to be the case, but a lot of people are trying to say that the Democratic Party is trying to let in all of these illegal immigrants so they can vote without an ID and they'll never lose an election again. I don't believe that to be the case, but I do believe that you should have an ID to vote. It's not hard to get an ID. Of some form.
No, it's really not. You're right. It's not. Here's why I say that. Before I ever had a driver's license or a learner's permit, I had an ID because I had to have it for a trip or for something. It's really not that hard to get.
And even if you want to make it more accessible, have people bring their social security card. It's something that I've had to enter my social security number a billion times, and that's an exaggeration, a billion times as a college student.
Oh, sure. Because
when you are college aged or high school age,
yeah.
at 18, when you can go and vote, just ask for the social security card.
Yeah, because you look at social security, when you go apply for a credit card, that's something they ask you for. And so that's another way, like he said, to make it more accessible. But there has to be a way to have some form of identification. Having no identification is not a good way to go.
What's the original system?
Just driver's license, I believe.
Yeah, the original is driver's license.
And you need your driver's license for so much.
You do.
For so much.
You have to have your driver's license to get there.
Basically.
Legally.
If you legally want to drive to a polling place, you need your driver's license.
Yes.
So I think
you're right, Meredith. You're right.
I think it's kind of crazy.
There over 2 days.
Yeah, it's like what do we like? You need. I can't go buy a lottery ticket
without your.
I can't.
Right.
One thing I want to swing the conversation to that I thought was very interesting is like for the past 8 years we've been dealing with like a divided nation with like Trump having this complete like large audience of supporters for him and the Democrats having theirs. If Trump loses, he says he's never running again. If Trump wins, obviously he will be too old to do it again.
Well,
he can't do it again. Sorry. Yeah. He can't because he already done it.
Because he's already done too.
But it will be interesting when he retires from this whole scene, where all the Trump supporters going to go. You know, what will the nation look like after this?
I think my hope is that.
What's your hope?
the political scene post-Trump will return to what it was in the Obama election cycles.
So anti-polarization.
Well, I think Trump.
So what Trump does is he like stokes the flame of his angry supporters.
I think Trump started the look at how terrible these guys are.
Yes.
The Democrats, I think wrongly, did not take that moral high ground and started to be like, well,
yeah,
you guys are all racists.
Well,
Trump was first like, Democrats hate America. They're communists.
But Trump doesn't condemn the far right that hates him, though.
He doesn't. He, for some reason, dodges that question
Yeah, he
all
does.
the time.
Well,
Well,
I mean, here's the thing. Objectively, those are votes.
Yeah, you're right.
The Kamala would not say, "Oh, I denounce far less communists," because if she does, she loses those votes. It's really a business at the end of it. It's
is.
how can I secure the most
It
votes?
does. Like, yeah, when you think about
If
that.
those people are going to vote for Donald Trump, he has no reason to say, I don't, all these people are evil people. Okay, I'm getting the sign to wrap it up, so I'll finish that
He's sick
point.
of us.
But I mean, it really is. I think that Trump stoked the fire of being like, these people are evil, and then Democrats followed saying, no, you're evil, and it's very clash.
Polarization.
Yeah, it's one of those. One more thought. It's one of those he said, she said type deals, and you're just pointing fingers at this point. Continue. Sorry.
I think the vice presidential debate was sort of the beginning of what I hope politics will return to, is people talking and being like, I agree on that idea. I think of it a little differently, and we have kind of that shared hope to make the country better and a respect for people in their parties. That's what I hope politics returns to, but we're going to call it there. If you have not voted yet, I know early voting has been popular for a lot of people. Tomorrow, I hope as many people go out and vote and have their small little voice be heard in this election, and then we will see what the results are shortly. So thank you guys for joining us, and go vote.
I hope someone random wins.
All right.
Like Fat Albert wins.